So for this video, it is story time. This might not be for everyone, and if it's not, that is okay. Basically, in this video, I'm going to be covering why I started HC Exodus, why I left HC Exodus, and my future steps. So, the reason why I started HC Exodus was I had joined Salty for my first season in Masters in season 35, and we placed Masters, but then unfortunately we did get docked. Someone in our alliance was found to be doing I don't know what and got banned, and we got docked. But that was my first taste of Masters, and I knew that Salty was good enough to do it again and keep doing it for all the future. After that season, the leadership of Salty released a statement saying that this was right when the 30% boost packs for clearing event quest had just come out. And they said, this boost pack came out mid-season. Obviously, we didn't mandate it then. That being said, moving forward, we want to mandate this boost pack so that we can all have 30% to clear the war map. And I understand that. I totally do. But the thing is, I'm free to play, and I farm arena, but I don't full grind arena. Like, I definitely grind a lot more than almost everyone, but I also don't grind every single arena. I probably grind like 1.5 arenas per cycle. So like either 1 or 2 alternating. And I straight up, I told the leader and I told the officers, I can't afford, with the amount that I arena grind and the amount that I want to arena grind, to both buy the unit offers for holidays and also get this unit pack every month. So that was what I said. I said, I can't do this mandatory requirement they've done. And so I want to get Masters. At this point, I had never got Masters before. I want to get Masters. This is in no way a reflection of my belief in y'all to get Masters. In fact, this is in no way a reflection of my eye or at the person for docking us. It is literally just because I cannot afford to meet the requirements that you have set, because I personally believe, for my account and for my enjoyment of the game, that it is better if I buy the offers than buy a bunch of unit packs for boosts. And so that's what I said, and I ended up leaving Salty. So after that, I reached out to HC management, and previously we had talks about maybe starting an alliance that was low alliance quest and high alliance war. This was before even like Taters' LVT or before Matrix or all the other alliances where there was this giant influx of people shifting down to map 5 and 6. This was before any of that. And so I revisited this idea, and I said, okay, I'm no longer going to be a part of Alliance, and I want to start this thing. I'm really excited, and I want to start this thing. And so we started an alliance, we being me, and I later enlisted a couple of my friends to do it. But basically what happened was I started this alliance. It came from, and it was an HC shell. It started at 2,687, and I made a video about it. In fact, I can probably link that in the description. But it was basically just like, this is the goal. We want to get P1, we want to get Tier 1, we want to get Masters, and move forward. And hyped is the best way to describe it. I was so excited, and it was an amazing experience. Our first season, we went, I think it was 11-1. Our loss was real bad. We really should not have lost. But we ended in Tier 1, which set us up to get Masters the next season, and we ended up getting Masters. And so basically what happened was we took a P4 alliance and we turned it into a Masters alliance in 2 seasons, which is super cool. It's amazing. I was very, very happy with it, and first and foremost, I just want to thank anybody who was a member of that alliance and any officer. The officers did an amazing job, especially when we started planning. A lot of us were... The first season was a break. The first season, we faced a whole bunch of alliances that we had no business facing, and we steamrolled them. We literally would win like 10 or 12 to 150 or something stupid. It was really bad. We were just dominating, and it's not a reflection of the people we were facing, but it was a bunch of Masters pushing players fighting Tier 4 alliances and Tier 3 alliances, And so obviously that was bound to end poorly for our opponents. But our first season was like, that's what it was. It was a retirement break for everybody there. Everybody knew it was going to be a break. We still ended P1 and got good rewards, but it was a break. And then we went into the second season, which was season 38. No, it was season 37. So we went into season 37, and we recruited 2 new officers, Trinan and Wei, who, amazing people, by the way, from NXS, which was dissolving. And they were going to run a battle group for us. We had a couple people running a battle group for us in BG1, and that was like Nims and 5J and also Oakley. And so we basically, and then Water and I ran BG3. And so we basically went from like just basically being able to play lackadaisically. Anytime we died, it didn't matter because we were just going to slaughter the opponents, to being 1 war into tier 1. So not even like barely tier 1, 1 war into tier 1. So we had a tiny bit of leeway and we were facing slightly better people. And I mean, we started there, right? And so now it's serious. Last few wars of the season, we had war planned, right? And so that means that this season, realistically, all Masters alliances besides DSVG war plan. And so we were like, okay, we need to war plan. And so a lot of the officers were not necessarily fully prepared to war plan for a very long time. And so by the end of the season, you had Water, who wanted to step away from war planning, at least war planning every war. You had me, who I wasn't even expecting to war plan at all, and I ended up war planning like 9 wars. And then you have people like Oak and Five, and who were not really necessarily expecting to war plan either, or hadn't done it in a while and didn't want to keep doing it. And then you also had people like BG2 who weren't really sure about where they wanted to go next, and it was never necessarily going to be a permanent stop for them in HCX anyway. And so basically what it was every single, I shit you not, every single battle group was losing 1 or 2 planners. And furthermore, that's counting me as a planner. I had never counted myself as a planner. Like, I'm not saying I can't plan. I think I did a decent job. But it was really hard with my schedule. I was very, very busy, and it was taking huge chunks of my time, not only to war plan, because honestly, war planning took like an hour. It wasn't that bad. Like, it wasn't great to have to be open for that exact hour or 2 every single day. But it was workable. What sucked was the next 4 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours, where I had to be available to defend my plan and say, okay, so you're asking about this question. Like, what is going on? Like, what is the problem with the fight? Okay, is that a misunderstanding from you, a misunderstanding from me? If it's a misunderstanding from me and it's a bad plan, how do I fix the plan so that other people can still take it with a good option? Do we have a backup? Can we shift lanes in time? Who's already joined? And this is all to say kudos to anyone who war plans every single war, or even part-time. So it was very difficult for me, and it was not something that I had planned on doing, and it was not something that I was willing to do long-term in terms of the effects that it had on my life. It took way too much time, and I spent way too much effort doing it, and it was starting to become a detriment to my life. And so I decided to take a step back from high-tier war. I wasn't going to plan war. I certainly wasn't going to lead war, but more importantly, and this is the most important thing, I wasn't going to play war. I loved leading. I loved being an officer, and depending on the day, like if it was like a nice, chill Saturday, I even liked planning sometimes, but I did not like playing anymore. And basically what that came down to was my expectations for myself are unrealistic, to say the least. And so if I did very well, I would think, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. I should be doing very well. And if I did poorly, I'd beat myself up for it. And so basically what I had this no-win situation I had constructed for myself with unrealistic expectations. And so war wasn't fun for me anymore, and war was being a detriment to my real life. And obviously, real life comes first. I'm a student in university, if you are not aware of that. And war was simply not fun enough for me to rationalize playing it at a high level. And as a casualty of that, it was I had to pass the alliance off to someone else. But I did just discuss the fact that all of my planners were probably not going to plan next season, if even be there at all. And so I offered up the alliance and I said, okay guys, I can't play high tier war anymore. It's too much for me mentally. It's not fun for me anymore. It's so much time out of my life. I don't think I can do it. And they were like, okay, we understand. They were amazingly understanding throughout this process. And they said, we understand. And I said, do any of you want the alliance? I know that some of you were talking about stepping away. And I know that none of you walked into this expecting to be like, hey, I get an alliance, right? That I have to lead. And so, but I offered because they were amazing, and they are amazing. And I didn't want the alliance to die. So I offered it, and no one was able to do it. Not no one was willing to do it. No one was able to do it. We all wanted to keep the alliance alive, but none of us were able to do that. And so basically, we had to disband. And the reason, there was also kind of late notice on the disband, and the reason for that was because we spent as long as we could trying to find a solution. And even after I sent the news of disbanding, I had members and officers message me, and they were like, let's try to figure something out. Let's see if anyone can take it. Let's see if we can merge. Let's see if we can do something, which, by the way, is amazing. I thought it was going to be like, oh, okay, sorry, we're disbanding. And they were like, fuck you. Like, I can't believe you did this, and leave. Cuss me out in every single chat possible, just go. But instead I had a giant outpouring of people basically saying, how can we keep this alive? And so I thought that was incredible because I hadn't expected that at all. I mean, I knew that we had a good atmosphere. I knew that almost every single person wanted to stay for the upcoming seasons. But I had not expected so many people to come forward and be like, okay, so how can we try to fix this? But in the end, we couldn't fix it. And so I disbanded the alliance, and, all 30 players had to find new homes. I did my best to help any single person. And a lot of us got into Masters or P1 alliances. So went fairly well in that regard. But the other issue was that this was a shell given to me by HC. And basically, this shell, they wanted it back. And I understand why they wanted it back. They gave me the shell. I'm not stupid, and I'm not ignorant to that fact. The thing was, we had come into an agreement where I was like, I like HC, but I don't want to be bound to one family. So I asked them the question, and I said, if we choose to leave the family, what happens to the alliance? And I was told, keep it, but we would prefer heads up and that you change your name as soon as possible. And so I came into this process with the expectation that should I ever not like HC or disband or anything like that, it would be my alliance. I would just have to probably change the name and ideally give them notice. And so then they came asking for it back. And first off, this is my perspective. I don't want to pretend like it's the objective fact. This is from my point of view. I'm not saying that HC is wrong. I'm just sharing my perspective. And so I was like, yeah, this is my alliance. Why wouldn't it be? And they asked for it back. And they said, we gave you the shell. We need it back. And give us what is ours. And essentially, basically tried to didn't even listen to me. I was like, okay, so I sent them a screenshot and I was like, this is what you said. And I was under the impression that I could keep it. I might want to start an alliance in the future. One of my fellow officers might want to start an alliance in the future. This is a really good asset. I feel like we have made this alliance what it is, which isn't to say that I don't appreciate a shell at 2,700. That saved a lot of time. But 2,700 alliances are very common. Alliances that are 3 or 4 wars deep into tier 1, not so common. And so for them to claim that it was theirs and exclusively theirs and literally laugh off any claim I had to whatsoever really pissed me off. And I'm not going to go into any more specifics than that because it was a personal conversation and we had a lot of talks. in the end, they actually did end up listening to me in terms of like talking about kind of like where I felt and how I felt they had played a part in the alliance and how I felt it should go in terms of how I viewed it to be fair or not fair in the future. And we ended up having a pretty civil conversation, but in the end, I left the HC family with the alliance. But it was still retired. I just left it, which is why you can see on the screen that now it's called Parallax. It's also called UUU at the behest of my officers, who thought it would be real cool if I named it with all U's. I tried to name it something about, I think it was Ultimate Underground Utopia was the name I tried to give it. But then Kabam said that I could only have 20 characters, so that fell through, so I just gave it some random like name that I thought sounded kind of cool, and I gave the U's in the tag. If you can't figure out what the U's are for, maybe look a little closer. But yeah, so that's basically the story of HCX and why I disbanded. I didn't have the time. No one else had the time to pick it up. But I mean, obviously, it's my alliance. I'm the leader, so the responsibility is on me to keep it up. And I did not have the time in my life, and also I just wasn't having fun in Alliance War, to be honest, anymore. So after that, I took a break. I reached out to some friends, and I said, "Hey, do any of you have a lower level alliance that I could join and just steamroll through? Because I want to have fun. If I die, I don't care. Like, I want to go in. I want to take a bunch of fights. I want to take fun counters. And I want to go in, and I want to just kill stuff. I want to go back to having fun." And so I spent the last season in an alliance with my friends and had a really, really fun time. And, oh, yes, the last reason I quit. Thanksgiving and Christmas were coming up, and I, as I said, go to university, and it's not close to my home. And so I wanted to make sure that I could spend my Christmas time, my break with my family whom I never see, and I could spend it away from the game. So that was a huge reason why as well. But now to the future. The future is that the season just got delayed until December 28th. And the future is that I'm having fun in the game again. So the other day I went into the 15 plus recruitment chat and I said, does anybody have someone for gifting and battlegrounds? Because those are the two things that I really want to focus on. Does someone have something for gifting and battlegrounds that would be willing to take me? I don't care what Alliance Ward is. I don't care whatever. I just want something that's going to be good in battlegrounds and good in gifting, right? Decent in gifting, because I'm not a whale. I'm literally free to play. But I just want all the milestones. It's not hard. And then after that, a former Alliance mate and former Alliance officer reached out to me. And he said, hey, would you consider joining this Alliance? And I thought about it a lot because I don't know if I'm going to be able to have fun in Alliance War again. I don't. And I think I'm going to. So I'm going to try. And that alliance is Salty. So Salty's tier 1. They just placed Masters. And I want to dispel any rumors or anything. For some weird reason, people thought that I started HCX to get a Masters title, which doesn't really make any sense. Because if someone were to tell me, oh, I need a Masters title, and then be like, yeah, my friend suggested that I start a new alliance from scratch so I can get Masters, because that's the fastest way, I would laugh them out of the line chat. This was never about getting Masters. In fact, I told my friends, and this was before rewards were buffed, I was like, I think we're good enough to be Masters, and I think that I have enough people, we have enough people, to where we can get Masters, but even if we never do, I don't care. This is so fun. This is different. This is awesome. The goal was always Masters, but if we didn't hit it, so be it. Right? Like, we all wanted to get it, but it was also just fun. It was different. And in no way did I start HCX to get Masters in terms of that was my ulterior motive. I was never planning on getting Masters and leaving. The fact that I did was just life circumstance getting in the way. In fact, Salty asked me to come back, and I said no, because I didn't care about Masters. I wanted my own alliance. So for those who said that, honestly, just not true whatsoever, and I mean, that's kind of why. So now, on to the future. I am going to be the next Alliance War season. It starts right as my break ends, and I kind of want to try and see if I can have the fun that I used to have in high tier war. I do not plan on war planning honestly ever again. It was incredibly taxing and rewarding, but also incredibly frustrating because, frankly, I like, first off, having other people die when you spent a lot of time on the plan. It's annoying, and it's not necessarily their fault per se. Everybody makes mistakes, but it's annoying because you spend a lot of time. And having me die when I made a plan, that's even more annoying. And then on top of that, just like messing up a plan. Like, I accidentally assigned 4 attackers a couple times. I assigned the wrong attacker that just didn't work once. And after that, I literally just quadruple checked everything. It was so stressful because I knew that if I messed up, it would doom us. Like, you saw that this season. Literally 4 alliances. 4 alliances lost exclusively because they doubled too many paths. And I knew that was a thing that could happen, and so it was too stressful for me. So I never plan on war planning ever again. And I don't know if I'll ever get to the point where I take 100 plus fights again, as was the previous standard. But I do plan on joining Salty for season 39, I believe. And I hope I can go back to having fun. I'm going to keep posting war videos. A lot of what makes war fun for me is being able to make content and being able to work with my friends in an alliance and push for something. And so, just a long story about my relationship with Alliance War. But yeah, the plan is to go back to Salty. I don't know for how long. I hope it's a long-term thing. I hope I can keep having fun. But if for some reason I just still can't play the game and have fun, it's too stressful, then, I mean, we'll see where we go from there. But I'm really, really excited about this. I'm really thankful to Salty for giving me another opportunity. And I am excited to get back into the scene where I can actually contribute to a potent, really, really high aspiring alliance. And so I'm excited, and I hope, if you have questions, please drop them down below. I'm going to have a lot of people very pissed at me, and it is what it is. I feel as though I am, right's probably not the correct word, but I feel like the decisions I made were all logical and reasonable, but I also understand that from an outside perspective, especially with less information, it may appear otherwise. So I would love to answer any questions or accusations you may have in the comments. And I mean, I also plan to post war videos and all that stuff if anybody wants to see those. So that is pretty much my plan. That's my announcement, and that's a little bit of my story because it's been going around a little bit, and I can definitely see why stuff has been either blown out of proportion or misunderstood. And so that is Triple U's story of war. And do with that information what you will. If you don't like me, or you think this is the dumbest shit to make a video about, that's fine. Or maybe if you liked it, or interested in it, or understand it, that's also great too. But regardless, I'm here for the next season, and I have some fun new rank 4s that I'm really excited to test out. You already know which ones those are. And I mean, I'm just excited for the future, and I hope I can get back to the Alliance War that I like, especially before Kabam invariably destroys the game. So yeah. Thank you so much for watching. If for some reason you listen to this entire thing, you're a legend. Thank you for hearing me out, even if you don't agree, or even if you do agree. And yeah, that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching.